Almost every Indian dish starts with the tadka or heating spices in oil, and yet this is where most people go wrong. The difference between flat and flavorful is in the simple details most recipes ignore. I've been cooking Indian food professionally for 7 years and have made every one of these mistakes. So today I'm going to share all of those mistakes with you and show you how to fix them. Once you master this, you master the soul of Indian cooking. So before we even turn on the heat, the first question is, what kind of fat and what kind of pan should you be using? But even before that, flavor starts with quality. You can really smell this cardamom even through this sealed bag. If your cardamom smells dusty instead of floral, no technique will save the dish. So do a sniff test and make sure your spices are fresh. Chances are, if they've been hanging out at the back of your cupboard for over a year, it's time for a refresh. No matter what Jamie Oliver says, olive oil is the wrong fat for Indian cooking. The grassy flavor doesn't complement all the ingredients we use, and olive oil has a lower smoke point, which means it will burn before the spices bloom. Use ghee, mustard oil, or a neutral oil like avocado. If you use butter, add a little bit of neutral oil to it and that'll prevent it from burning. Let's talk about the pan now. Non-stick pans don't retain enough heat and their coating can degrade when exposed to high temperatures. Cast iron retains heat beautifully, but the seasoning can break down when you add acidic ingredients like tomato or yogurt right after the tadka or tempering. For a clean, bold tempering that doesn't compromise your cookware, use stainless steel or brass. They can handle the heat and preserve the integrity of your spices. Now for the most crucial part, the number one reason for failure. How hot should the oil actually be? If your pan is smoking, even before you add the oil, it's too hot. The oil will overheat almost immediately and your spices will burn, so turn off the heat and cool the pan slightly before proceeding. If your pan isn't smoking, but the moment you add your oil it starts smoking, turn the heat off. It's the signal that your pan is too hot. Cool the oil slightly before proceeding, or else you will end up with a burnt tadka. On the flip side, if spices don't sizzle immediately, they're just soaking up oil. They're not blooming. You know the oil is hot enough when it's shimmering, or it's between 350 and 375 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have a thermometer, use it. If you don't, test it with one seed, and if the seed sizzles as soon as it hits the oil, your oil is at the right temperature. Don't forget to discard the test seed before making your tadka. Once your oil is at the right temperature, your next thought is probably, should I add all the spices in at once? So let's answer that. Even if the oil is at the right temperature when you start, overcrowding drops the oil temperature, so don't add in all your spices at once. And remember to use a pan that's large enough for the portion size you're making. Not all spices have the same cooking time, so the order matters. Add the larger, bolder spices like cinnamon, cardamom, and red chilies first. Wait 10 to 15 seconds, and then proceed to the more delicate spices like cumin and mustard seeds. Fresh ingredients like garlic, curry leaves, and green chilies go in next. Make sure your curry leaves and green chilies aren't dripping with water. Drying them with a paper towel or letting them air dry prevents oil splattering all over your kitchen surfaces and, more importantly, you. I'm not going to talk about powdered spices now because they come into the picture a bit later. Once you see the underlying logic behind the order, it all starts to make sense, right? It's not just random. The difference between guessing and knowing is smaller than you think, and it's exactly what I help my students with. Everything is sizzling, this kitchen smells amazing. But then, how do you know when it's done? And if you burn it, can you save it? Once the spices hit hot oil, you have 10 to 30 seconds to manage them. Distractions equal to disaster here, so stay present and resist the temptation to walk away. Proper tadka smells nutty, toasty, and fragrant, not bitter or acrid. This requires some practice, but the more you cook, the more you'll train your nose to recognize the aroma. We want our spices to be deeper or more vibrant in color, not black. 30 seconds is usually enough if your oil is at the right temperature. Now it's time for the powdered spices. If you're using powdered spices like red chili, garam masala, or hing as a part of your tempering, add them in last with the heat off. Red chili powder can burn in 5 seconds if the heat is too high, and hing can lose its potency. The residual heat is enough to bloom them without burning them. Mistakes are a normal part of cooking, and if you burn your tadka, it's okay, but unfortunately, you can't salvage it. You have to start over, otherwise the bitter taste will permeate throughout your entire dish and you will definitely taste it. Trust me, I've tried and regretted it. Mastering your tadka is a huge step because it's a technique that is central to almost every Indian dish. But what if you want to confidently cook any dish, integrate these traditions seamlessly into your busy life, and truly deepen the connection to your culture? That's exactly what I guide you through in my program, and I'd love to show you what's possible.